Abiotic factor is what you get when Half-Life and Minecraft have a child. It's a perfect mix of those two iconic games that meet exactly in the middle. It was released into early access for PC, but recently had its full release and came to both Xbox and PlayStation consoles in July of this year, with a day one Game Pass and PlayStation Plus Extra release. If you don't have Game Pass or PlayStation Plus Extra, you can pick it up on console for $35 US. So is Abiotic Factor worth playing on console? This review is going to answer that question. But first, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Hey, new transfer. I got pulled in from surface duty. The usual lady, she got called out to help downstairs. Happens. Chaos is kind of our thing around here. You seem a bit antsy. Just wait. I'll unlock the gate in a second.
Let's begin this review, as we always do, with going over the graphics and technicals of Abiotic Factor. As I said in the intro, the game is a blend of Half-Life and Minecraft, and the graphics match that perfectly. It's not quite the block textures of Minecraft, but it's not Half-Life either. It's almost like a recreation of Half-Life in a Minecraft-type game, but with improvements to the graphics to meet right in the middle of the two. It fits perfectly, and while it isn't a looker, it's really interesting and memorable. For technicals, it runs really well on console, which isn't surprising since Abiotic Factor isn't a graphical powerhouse or anything. I didn't encounter any bugs, glitches, or crashes, but I will say the game just isn't meant to be played on console. The UI is designed for mouse and keyboard, and when you use a controller, you need to navigate the menu with the joystick, and it's really sensitive. The quick use buttons don't work correctly, like the quick hill requiring you to hold one of the buttons just never worked correctly for me. It's hard to move things around in your inventory, such as dropping things or picking up stacks of items. It's not meant to be played with a controller, and the developers did little more than just do a quick patch to get a controller working without fine-tuning it or adapting the UI for console. Luckily, Abiotic Factor isn't one of those demanding games that requires you to quickly select items or anything, but it is a big downside to playing on console, and I think a lot of players will be disappointed with the console port.
I worked on the security bots. Their CPUs store access codes. If we salvaged some, we could make something to hack the door. What do you think? Did you get those CPUs from the security robots? I can't give my data until you make that hacker.
Alright, so the big question is, what is Abiotic Factor about? Well, it's basically Half-Life, if instead of playing as Gordon Freeman, you played as one of those random scientists that inhabited Black Mesa. But instead of it being Black Mesa, it's a place called Gate that's in either Australia or New Zealand. Think of the story as a Temu version of Half-Life. It's sort of like it, but the story isn't as memorable or important since Abiotic Factor is more about the gameplay and the experience rather than the retelling of Half-Life or being a Half-Life clone. Like I said before, you play as a scientist who is coming on board for the first day on the job. You select your character, your look, your outfits, along with your skills and character traits, then the game runs you through a quick orientation. Just like Half-Life that came out decades before it, things go sideways right away in the facility. There are alien creatures running around, giant killer robots, and you and your fellow scientists are just trying to survive. One of the reasons the story isn't as critical to Abiotic Factor as it is in Half-Life is because you can play this game with friends. In fact, it's encouraged. You create a world to host, and you can invite friends to play with you. So it's like Minecraft in that aspect. Since multiplayer games tend to skip more of the story, it does make sense that the developers went light on the narrative beats and just had it as window dressing to the setting. The goal of the game is basically to get out of the facility, and you travel through dimensions to do so, all while exploring, crafting items, and fighting.
Sorted? Okay. Most of what you need should be in your gate, pal. Well, eventually. But you're good to go. Head down to the elevator. It'll take you down to induction, and they'll take care of you.
The gameplay of Abiotic Factor is part first-person shooter, part crafting, part base building simulator. You're fighting aliens with hand-to-hand weapons, crossbows, and guns that you craft and build from resources you gather. Just like Minecraft, you're breaking apart items for resources or collecting it from around the world. You may need a weapon, so you pick up a piece of wood, then you find some screws or nails and you put that in the piece of wood, and so on. As you pick up items around the world, you get inspiration for things to construct. You may pick up a rubber band ball, a stapler, and a piece of wood and be inspired to make, say, a crossbow. You're very limited in what you can carry, both in inventory space and the amount of weight, but you can always craft a little storage area for yourself and your companions, or just pick up stuff and use it later. The game is linear, but but you're often coming back to hub areas, so if you want, you can make a base to camp out in and set up your friends to accomplish a task. You're generally always blocked from progressing by the need of either finding something to use or someone, or crafting something from materials to help your objective. The combat isn't anything groundbreaking, it's shooting or swinging your weapon at enemies. It's a combination of crazy things you can construct, the multiplayer, and the setting that makes the game so fun to play and rewarding to progress in. But if you're the type of player that wants to explore everything and understand the lore and the story, you might want to play this game in single player. Just be aware that it is more fun to play with friends, just like most games are. Alright, let's go into the pros and cons of Abiotic Factor. For the pros, the game does a perfect job of blending the setting and story of a Half-Life type game with the crafting and look of a Minecraft type game. The crafting is really interesting and you're constantly picking up new recipes to progress your character. There's a definite power scaling in items you craft, and there's enough junk and materials lying around to build whatever you need. The multiplayer is hilarious, but if you want to play alone, you have that option and you can easily make your way through the game alone. It's a PlayStation Plus Extra and Game Pass Day 1 release. For the cons, alright, this one isn't so much of a con, so much as I just didn't expect how serious this game could be at times. I thought it would be this humorous take on a Half-Life game, play as a crazy scientist and craft junk into weapons. And that is true, but it's also a very serious Half-Life survival horror type game elements in it as well. The two can be at odds at times, unless you're playing multiplayer, in which case the game just, gets out of control real fast. The controller support on console is bad, with an unintuitive UI, button pressing issues, and a joystick that's overly sensitive even when you play around with the settings. It can be really hard to use the inventory on controller, and it's clear that this is a PC game first and foremost that was ported over to console. Some of the choices you make in character creation at the beginning of the game can come back to haunt you, and the game doesn't do a super good job of instructing you on how to navigate the world and the character creation at the beginning. And that's it for another review. So, is Abiotic Factor worth playing on console? Yes, but it's just much better on PC, and the controller is going to piss a lot of people off. Honestly, play it on PC if you can. You don't need a super high-end gaming rig to play this, and it is on Game Pass for PC as well. But if you only can play it on console, it is manageable. And for only $35 US, it's worth playing on console as well. Better yet, if you have a few friends with Game Pass or PlayStation Plus Extra, you can all get together and play it together. I'm the Casual Console Gamer, and I'll see you all in the next review.